We are a living history museum, which means we try to recreate the feeling of what life was like back during these times. And Richmond Town really captures the settlement and kind of the growing up of Staten Island as a society.
Honestly, we're huge. We're very big. We're one of the only living history museums that has multiple buildings and that is an open air place. So we have, a lot of living history museums are only one building. We have 33 buildings on campus, and we do other events as well as history events.
A lot of our buildings are named after the families that lived in them. So the Guions, the Lakes, and the Tysons were three separate families, but it was originally built by Joseph Guion back in 1740. He did build a lot of the house himself. This isn't the house's original location, but the way we move the houses is cut away the foundation and then it's lifted up on special jacks and placed on the back of a truck, and it's moved all in one large section. And this is a colonial style farmhouse. It actually sat on a 112-acre farm, and the families who owned this were generally very well-to-do. They're pretty wealthy, and it shows in a lot of the little things around the house. Because a lot of the people living here were farmers, a lot of it was done through trade, where I'll trade you X amount of wheat or chickens or whatever it is I grow in exchange for the things I need. But it also served a couple other functions. There was the town post office in here, and they also had the town's only telephone hanging on the wall over there. So Mr. Stevens ran the store pretty successfully for a while. He had just about everything anyone could want. Dressmaking, clothes things, fabric, strings, buttons. Late 1880s, 1890s when he sold it to the three Black sisters. So the three Black sisters ran it up until about 1919. But during that time, none of them ever got married. They stayed single pretty much their whole lives. Reason being, there was a law at the time that said if a woman owned property when she married, it became her husband's property. It was essentially part of the dowry. And none of them ever wanted to lose the store. Because they owned it together, if one of them got married, they would lose their entire investment. So this was the tinsmith. And tin is a soft metal. There's an example here. It came in flat sheets, and for a shop like this, it all would have been bought off the boat from England. It all would have had to come over. But it's a soft metal, and that means it can be worked while it's cold. Steel starts to become malleable at around 2300 degrees. Tin you can bend at room temperature. And it was durable, it was cheap, and it was convenient, and it beat out a lot of the things because a blacksmith, it took all day to make. A tinsmith could make things much faster. And for things like cups and teapots, a lot of people had redware. It was clay that would be baked and then just put a glaze over it, but you can drop a tin cup and it won't shatter. It's a lot more durable. And so that was the main selling points for tin. And coming here actually is what made me want to start going into metalwork. Before I worked here, I was planning on going into forestry, going to a completely different school, but being here and working with metals the historic way, it's a lot more hands-on. It gives a better feel for the project you're working on. It did really inspire me to go into modern-day blacksmithing. Doing tours like this, I get people from all over the world, and one of the funniest things is that our oldest building is 1695, but I've had people come from Ireland and England who say, well, I've seen castles from 605. So it is interesting to see a lot of different cultures that go on around the world and how it compares directly to how people were living back then in our upbringing. For college students specifically, come check out Richmond Town because it gives you a feel for rural life. It's one of those places within the 5 boroughs that isn't constantly surrounded by traffic and noise, and seeing work be done with your hands is something that could change your life, because it changed my life.